So let's dive right in. And I may not have a lot of time to spend on these principles today because, like I said, time is really moving on here and we don't really have a lot of time. But I just kind of want to give you a flavor and kind of give you a highlight of these 29 elements. I'll probably skip over some because we don't have time to do them all. But if you really want to get more information about them, or if you really want to have maybe your organization or your classroom, or maybe even you as an individual to find out more about these principles, please call me at 919-682-8473, and my extension is 14. Again, that's area code 919-682-8473, extension 14. Or you can write me at Community Success Initiative. That's Community Success Initiative at P.O. Box 61114. That's Raleigh, North Carolina, 27661. Again, Community Success Initiative, P.O. Box 61114, Raleigh, North Carolina, 27661. And, you know, if you call me, you know, we have a small staff right now, so I may or may not be in the office. But please feel free to leave me a voicemail message. Dennis, I heard you on the radio. I heard you had some more information about this pleasing personality concept, or really about any of the things that you hear us talking about. If you want more information about them, please feel free to call us and we'll call you back, or have somebody from my staff call you back, and we'll be able to send you some more information. Okay, what are the factors of a pleasing personality? The number one factor is a positive mental attitude, okay? Now, like I said, you know, these are the kinds of things that you may have heard along growing up, but you may not have thought they were that important. And what do I call a positive mental attitude? A positive mental attitude, I believe, is the ability to see the good or look for the good in all things and all people. Okay, now there's probably a lot more expanded definitions, and there's probably a lot more, you know, kind of longer definitions that you can talk about that. But just in the concise time that we have today, and just kind of want to be as brief as possible, but yet still get a message across, a positive mental attitude is the ability to be able to see or look for the good in all people and all things. Now understand that one of the main rules of success is that all good will be attacked. Okay? So that the fact that I kind of sit behind this mic and say that, you know, you need to have a positive mental attitude and that you need to kind of always look for the good in all people, you know, it's very easy to say, well, you know, that's easy for him to say. You know, he's been doing that for 20 years, you know, or 22 years now, and he's been teaching that a while, and it's very easy for him to say that and to be that person. Well, let me tell you that I'm still today have to fight the elements against the cold that we talk about in this environment, because the things that I want to achieve and the goals that I want to achieve, I still have to fight for them, because every time you think about being positive, if life could talk, like I like to say, if life could talk, it would say, well, we're going to see about that. You know, we're going to see about you trying to be somebody. We're going to see about you trying to be positive. We're going to see about you trying to make your dreams come true. We're going to see about you trying to be hopeful and all those kinds of things, because we're going to throw all kinds of obstacles in your way. And it's almost like life has a plan to be against the things that you want to do, especially if they're positive. So I don't mean to say that this is easy. All these elements, it takes a fight. You've got to be positive. You've got to be focused. Otherwise, the other side, the opposite, which is an attitude that's negative, will win. So really, a positive mental attitude is just looking for the good in all people and all things. I always see the glass as half full, you know, not half empty. In some of the classes that I teach, I always say that the same glass that is half full or half empty, depending on your perspective, if the glass was just there and nobody was saying anything, it's really the same glass. And that's kind of my point. Okay, is that if you look at the glass and you say I only have half to go, you know, that's kind of like an optimist way of looking at it, which is a positive mental attitude. It's half full, so that means I only have half to go. But if you look at it the opposite way and say, well, it's half empty, that means I only have half left. Okay, So it really has nothing to do with the glass. The glass is the same, but your perception of that really makes you think about it differently. So if you know you only have half to go, you kind of work hard. You say, okay, let's go. I'm on my way. I'm almost there. And with half left, you say, oh, I've lost half of it or whatever. So it's very important that you look at it, that the glass as half full, okay? So very important. And there's a story that I like to tell that goes along with that, is that, and you may have been familiar with the story, it talks about a shoe salesman from Indiana. And the shoe salesman, or the shoe company, wanted to expand its markets to the Philippines, okay? And so the owner of the shoe store said, I'm going to send my top-notch salesman, to the Philippines. So he sends his 25-year veteran, great shoe salesman to the Philippines. He puts him on the airplane, and he lands at the airport in the Philippines, and he walks around the Philippines downtown. And after walking around a while, he phones back to the home office in Indiana. He says, Chief, he says, fly me back to Indiana. He says, these people don't even wear shoes, okay? So that's kind of how he looked at it. So when he got back, the owner of the shoe store says, I still believe that we can do it. He says, I still believe I want to open up the Philippines. Let me send this young whippersnapper college graduate that I just hired back to the Philippines and see what he thinks. So he takes the college graduate, just hired, and kind of puts him on the very same plane. He lands at the very same airport in the Philippines. He gets off the plane. He walks around downtown, and all of a sudden he phones back and says, Chief, fire up the presses. Everybody needs shoes. So see, it has nothing to do with the feet of the people in the Philippines were the same feet that the 25-year veteran was looking at, but it was just a different perspective, and it was a positive mental attitude that allowed the younger person to see that. So the number one part of having a pleasing personality is to understand that you got to have a positive mental attitude. Now I'm going to start maybe skipping around some of the 29 elements that I see here, and that we're going to start highlighting some of the ones that I think are important. Another element of a pleasing personality is something we call sincerity of purpose. Okay? Sincerity of purpose is really the art of realness, being real. Okay? Sincere really is a Latin word for without wax. One of my favorite words, without wax. Okay? Sincere. And it came from a concept in England that they used to make furniture, and some of the furniture would end up having holes in it, that the people who would take the furniture with holes in it and pour wax into the furniture. And it seemed like it was heavy. Okay, so, but after the heat got to it and after wear and tear, the wax would begin to come through the pores of the wood, and people would find out that they did not have what they thought they had. Okay, so that when the people who would make the wood, later on, they would always subscribe on the end of it, sincere. They would put their name and then sincere under it. So whoever purchased the wood, they would know that it was without wax. It was the real thing. You can count on this being real. So one of the things you want to make sure that you are is that you're not a phony, okay? Is that you are the real person. Now, that could be good or bad, especially if you want to be transparent, as we always try to be, and kind of keep everything on the table. Even if it hurts, or even if it's not pretty, or even if it's an ugly part of your life, still people appreciate you being sincere and being real, because they know they can always count on you being the same person over and over again. So sincerity is important. Another element, common courtesy. Now, we think of common courtesy, we say, well, what's so important about saying thank you and saying yes, sir, and no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am? Believe me, folks, it is a very, very big deal to have the common courtesy. And it's those things I just mentioned. It's saying yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, excuse me, I'm sorry, please. I always say that if you use the right language and you say the right kinds of things with common courtesy, it will get you a larger piece of chicken in the cafeteria line than you would if you didn't say that, because people can feel your sincerity and they can feel your being nice, is what my mom would call it. So they can feel that. And here I go, just kind of rushing through these things.